Good morning. We are here today in Palo Alto with Dr. Ronjon Nag. Ronjon, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Are you doing fine?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. Thank you for taking time to chat with us.
Nice to be here.
Great. So you and I met a long time ago under unusual circumstances. We were fighting a retroactive tax clawback imposed by the Franchise Tax Board in Sacramento.
That's right, the California Franchise Tax Board, where we had to pay taxes where we didn't know we were supposed to pay. And they're going to charge interest.
Right, yeah.
on the things that they hadn't actually told us that we had to pay.
Right, that was...
penalties.
And penalties, yeah. That was a scary deal for us. And so we fought hard at the Capitol for that one, and we ultimately won.
Yes.
At least the clawback part we won. And so since then, I know that you have become, say, a multipreneur. And you've been involved with AI before a lot of people even knew what AI was, correct?
I think my first AI system was 40 years ago, 1983, as an undergraduate at Birmingham University, actually Birmingham, England, that is, where at those days we were working on language understanding, but at the simplest level we were just working on telephone digits. Can you recognize telephone digits?
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, and then eventually, 10 years later, they actually put them in cars, so you can dial your telephone so you couldn't crash your car while you're driving.
Insurance companies love that, I'm sure.
So it's still quite dangerous to have a cell phone, talk on a cell phone in a car, but people have been really dangerous trying to dial numbers without using their voice.
Right. So we've come a long way since then. But tell us a little bit about your background. What brought you to the person that you are today?
That's a very interesting question. I've had multiple personas, multiple experiences. It started out in engineering, trying to really make machines that could act like people, and the Star Trek kind of things. And I came to the United States about 35 years ago in 1989, went to MIT, went to Stanford, and interestingly enough, not in the computer science department or the engineering department, but the psychology department, because what we were trying to do was figure out how brains work, and we're trying to use mathematics to figure out how brains work. So modern AI is actually based on those foundations. We call them neural networks, implying that the way AI works is modeled somehow on how the neurons in the brain are connected to each other. So we have a mathematical model of those. And then after all that, no one would hire me, so I had to, in Silicon Valley, what did you do when no one would hire you? You start a company. So I started the first one, Lexicus, that made handwriting recognition and voice dialing software. That got sold to Motorola. And then the second one invented the first mobile app store. That was in 1999. Unfortunately, there were no phones that could run apps, but I could basically, took about 10 years or so, but eventually this concept of commoditizing and making accessible distribution channels for software developers, really 1 million new engineers got put into business to sell wares on mobile devices. And really we invented the first one way before the mainstream Apple and Google ones were there. And billions of downloads, and we sold that one to BlackBerry. And then later on I was sort of the advisor investor in another company, Vocal IQ, that was sold to Apple. So one to Motorola, one to BlackBerry, one to Apple. So these icons of the mobile industry. Last 10 years, really back at Stanford, adjunct professor in medicine, which is very different, and really been looking at mathematics and medicine. How can machine learning, data science, unravel the complexities of the human body? The body's so complex. Hitherto, really, we've almost been finding mechanisms of biology almost by accident and by trial and error. Some very, very clever people thinking what could happen. But now we have new tools to see what every single possible combination in biology could occur and use that to sort of solve big problems. So we're just at the beginning of that era. and I'm really excited to be in that era. And then secondly, I work with lots of small companies. I've invested in lots of small, probably 100 companies or so, part owner of 100 companies. And then thirdly, I'm still an inventor, working on a vaccine. It's a vaccine for aging. So those are all the things of me.
Well, that's just brilliant. I mean, the overlap of so many electrical engineering and math and psychology and medicine, that's really fascinating. And so you have a fund, correct? Is that R42?
Yes, R42. I'm a venture capitalist, and the fund's name is R42. R is for Ronjon. It's a bit narcissistic, unfortunately, but we had it there. We weren't doing too much thinking when we came up with the name. And then 42, what does that relate to? Well, there's quite a popular book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and there the characters are looking for the answers to life, universe, and everything, and they finally find out the answer, and the answer is 42. And so I thought it'd be iconic to have that as part of our venture sort of thesis, that we're looking for difficult problems, the answers to those difficult problems.
That's incredible. So specifically, I think the audience might want to know why we're here specifically today. And one of the companies that you're involved in is called Supra AI. And why don't you tell us what Supra AI is?
Right. So it's Supra, that's SOOPRA.ai. And what it does, it makes a digital twin of yourself. So the idea is, can you actually train it with your material, my essays, my books, my lecture notes, any YouTube videos, interviews like this one, and can it make a digital version of me? So people who are either too shy to contact me, I'm very accessible actually, but if they're too shy or they can't find a slot, they can just talk to my digital twin instead. Sometimes we call that an avatar. Often that's embodiment, a cartoon embodiment as well, but this is, you can talk to me, I can talk back, you can hear my own voice in the response, and it usually says what I would say in real life, because it's been trained on so many things that I've spoken about. It actually usually gives what my answer would have been, which by the way is not always the right answer, but it's my answer.
It's your answer as drawn from your history of all the information that it's learned from you.
Exactly.
And how has this helped you in creating and sharing your personal contact and your professional content?
Yes, so certainly I'm a very active teacher. I teach at Stanford University, both to the regular Stanford students, but I have an egalitarian streak in me, so I teach in the evenings as well, so anybody can take these classes. And those classes are very large. There are 300 to 500 people in my class, so it's very difficult to do office hours at every single one of them. And so I use the Supra.ai embodiment of Ronjon Nag to allow them to log in, and they can actually just talk to me, to my virtual self, my digital twin, if they can't get hold of me. And often they go on for longer conversations. They feel less shy talking to the machine versus talking to me personally. And that allows me to scale my access to more people than I would do otherwise.
Okay, and you're constantly updating your content that is part of your avatar, part of your twin?
Yes, exactly. So when I come up with new essays, new lecture notes, new articles, new interviews, we'll probably upload this interview afterwards. It will learn more from my interaction. It also learns from news articles, YouTube videos. You can upload PDFs, upload PowerPoints, upload Word documents, and take all that content to actually make a better version of me. Actually, it's often cleverer than me.
I can't imagine that would be true.
Well, it's often because I'm a very slow typer, it can actually generate the text in a more coherent, expanded form than I would myself. And it will, often if the question someone is asking me, if it's very complex, it's sometimes easier for me just to upload the question into my own digital twin and then spit out the answer and then give it back to the person.
So it can even work for you.
Yes, exactly. It works for me. And it was sort of the answer I would have given if I would have thought about it more, but it actually accelerates my mind.
Fabulous. And you mentioned uploading this interview. Can you upload video to your avatar?
Yes, you can
Wow.
upload video, yes. I mean, obviously what it does do, it looks at the transcription of the video and uses that.
Okay, the
for
words
yes.
basically. Okay. So I actually have a personal experience because I've talked to your avatar in the past, and several months ago you were inducted to this Silicon Valley Hall of Fame and for engineers, and there was a big awards banquet. And it was a huge room, and I was at a table in the back, and I ended up sitting with some of your friends. And one of them, I believe, was an ophthalmologist that you've known for a long time. And I asked your avatar who that person was, and your avatar was able to tell me who that was without me having to bother you.
It really has. It's got the information, and it has it backs off to the rest of the internet. It really is a pleasing and replicable version of me. And it seems to be also controlled as well, because what people are afraid of is that what if someone takes your avatar and it starts making prank phone calls to people and they blame it on me instead of my digital avatar or the practitioner of the digital avatar. What it allows, there's all sorts of controls in the platform where you can control what is said and what isn't said.
Okay.
To the people interacting with it. So I go in from time to time, and so if I'm not quite happy with the answer, I'll edit the answer. So next time the answer is the question is asked, it gives a better answer. And often it's 80% of the questions are very similar, so you can actually build a very, very reliable system.
Okay, so you're constantly monitoring.
Occasionally, not constantly.
Okay,
Yeah, you don't have to go
occasionally.
in every day or anything, but
Okay.
every so often.
Okay.
So what you can do is, for example, the user, the people asking the question, can also say if they like the answer or if they don't like the
Okay.
answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They give it a thumbs up
Yes,
or a thumbs
yes,
down.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So would you compare this to ChatGPT in any way? Like you put in a question and then the response comes back, but it's actually you respond or your avatar responding?
Yeah, so ChatGPT and similar versions of that exist are trained on the entire internet. But what they typically don't have is private information or domain-specific information that's not on the internet. Mm-hmm. So my lecture notes are typically not on the internet. And secondly, it's not weighted towards my answers. It's not weighted to my lecture notes or my YouTube videos. And so you're going to get a much more customized version of my answer versus someone else's answer. So a lot of the questions that are asked, there's no actual right answer. It's more of an opinion piece that is expected from the digital twin or me. Somebody's asking me that, and I will be giving my opinion. And so that's what I mean when it's closer to what I would actually say versus the quote unquote the right answer, because there may not be a right answer.
Mm-hmm. And this could expand into things that are not scientific or educational based, for instance, you like to cook. Is that something that you've talked about with your avatar?
I'm a runner. I like to
You're
run.
running, okay.
I don't think I'm a very good cook, but it's got a lot of examples of how to run well.
Oh, okay.
So
for all of you runners out there, check out Ronjon's avatar.
if you run 1 hour, you add 7 hours of life.
Really?
Yeah, according to some papers out there. So probably one area that I'm really actively researching is aging science, how to live longer. And many biological phenomena, they sort of kind of terminate if you live that long, if you don't get into a car accident, around about the 110, 115 range, and we have access to good healthcare, you exercise, you diet, you're not unlucky to have a bad gene that give a particularly short life, then there's every chance to get to 100. I mean, the average age of death right now is 76. The key word being average, because there's more people getting to 100 than ever before. And so we can actually get to those levels, and certainly we're working how to increase the probability to get to 100, 105, 110. But then how can you get past that? How to get to 150? It seems that we're going to have to do something very different. We're going to have to reprogram the cells. It turns out if you change 4 aspects of the gene, you can turn a cell from its current age to its sort of age 0, and that probably shouldn't surprise anybody. When you get a 30-year-old female and you get a 30-year-old male, miraculously you get a creature that's age 0. That's called a baby. So why can't we do that as adults ourselves for our own cells? Right. So this is kind of thing that sort of philosophical jump is how can you get there to get a younger version of you.
Right. Well, I don't want to go through all of that again, but the cell aspect of being babies would be good. I don't think I want to do kindergarten again.
No, exactly. We don't want to actually get to 0.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the issues.
Oh, is it?
How do we not get to 0, 0? How do we get to
we have to find that
25 years old? What age would you like to be?
42 was a really good age for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
which was just last year.
36 for me, I think. But
in what way would you say that Supra AI has contributed to your personal or professional growth and your visibility?
Yes, well, I think it's certainly out there. No, it's certainly as when people see me, they're curious. They basically assume that I should have a sort of a techno aura around me. Right, and then they're pleasantly surprised that, well, actually, you can talk to my digital twin, and that always raises a nice smile from people. That okay, but I predict, 5-10 years from now, probably as little as 5 years, everyone will have one. Everyone will have one because you'll want to. Even we've done a demonstration with Supra where my digital twin shows up to Zoom meetings without me, and it actually contributes to the meeting. Instead of, there's a number of note takers out there that are transcribing it, but the Supra will actually join the Zoom meeting and start interacting into the meeting as well. And again, it usually will say what I would say anyway. And the ways, you can modify it, you go step by step. Certainly you can put answers in the chat so it's not interrupting as much. And then people say, Ronjon's saying something. Okay, maybe he's off camera for some reason, or what have you. And then if you go further forward, we'll all have our digital twins showing up to meetings, so we don't have to.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Everyone is going to want that. Who wants to sit in another Zoom meeting, let my avatar, my digital twin do it, and then tell me about it later?
Yes.
Meanwhile, I'll be over there having fun.
On the beach.
On the beach, jogging on the beach. Can you share any particular success stories or memorable experiences that you've had using Supra?
Yes. So I think in my course, a crash course in AI.
Which I've taken and I recommend it to everybody. It's brilliant.
Okay. It's a very short course, 5 lectures, and Stanford's cheapest course, by the way. Stanford's cheapest AI. I think it's $500. What I've done there, I asked the students to say, try the Supra.ai version of me and try and tell me how you think it works. So then the students start thinking about, well, how does this work? I don't tell them how it works, right? And but they, at this point, they have a little bit of background of what AI is, and so they say, oh, well, okay, maybe it was trained on the internet, maybe it's trained on you. Did you program certain answers? They're trying to wondering whether because can you just get most of the questions and just give the exact answers correctly to those, or did it learn from them? And so we use it as actually a learning tool. And then after that, once they start with that exercise, if they actually then continue to use it, because when they don't understand what I've said in a lecture, because believe it or not, I'm not always understandable, but I try. It's more on me than the students. They can go back to the Supra and ask them the questions again to clarify what I was trying to tell them.
Wow, that's such a great tool, because if you're in a classroom, in a live classroom, and you're trying to take notes, sometimes it's hard to be looking at your notepad or your device and also be listening at the same time. So it's nice to be able to go back and ask those questions of you regarding the class.
Also, I think it's also the embarrassment. You don't want to...
Oh, I don't know this.
Exactly. I don't know.
Because everyone in that classroom is from Palo Alto, and they all know everything about everything.
But more usually, there's lots of... It means if one person's got a question, probably lots of other people. You don't know that when you're putting your hand up.
Right.
And you might feel a bit nervous if no one else is putting their hand up.
Yeah.
Then you can either do it in real time or actually go back to it later on.
There's another aspect about Supra that is relatively new concept, and that is there is some earning potential.
Oh yes, this is there's three ways to set it up. Now, one way to set it up, which I have it, is that you can. It's a small fee. I forget. It's $9, $10, $25, that kind of thing, and you get so many questions that can be asked. It's quite a lot. I think it's 1,000 questions.
Oh, that is a lot.
But it adds up. If you're popular, you get more questions, and you can set it up so the questioners don't have to pay. Essentially, it's built into the fee that I pay, the monthly fee.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
the second way is I can actually set a price for people to talk to me.
Oh, okay.
And so you can actually set a price to people to talk to you. So they maybe they get a few questions for free, but then they have to pay to talk to you.
Okay.
And then I get a percentage of the money
Nice.
that's collected.
Nice.
So I think some people just have it permanently on that mode to start off with.
Yeah.
I have it so that any of you can actually talk to me for free. But I'm thinking about whether to charge people after a certain point. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you can share the revenue can be shared between Supra and the digital twin.
Oh, great. So everyone benefits
Yes.
from participation.
But think about it for an influencer who's got so many people trying to talk to them.
Right. Or film stars or
Yes.
anyone like that. Yeah.
Then they may want to, I don't know, it could be for a recreational thing, it could be for an educational purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They may want to, and then it's up to the educator how to set it up. They can, I've got this egalitarian streak in me, so I like to do things for free for people, and or low cost, so that it's accessible to everybody.
Mm-hmm. So overall, how satisfied are you with your experience with Supra AI?
Yes, so I was skeptical at the beginning whether it could actually replicate me and whether anyone would actually use it. And so it's gone beyond my expectations. It really does represent the thing. The main thing, it says what I would actually say in real life. And often when I suggest people to try it, they don't quite believe it until they do try it. And they say, okay, this is probably what you would have said. And it really helps me put in my own words, even if I use it myself for my own thinking. If it's a complex topic, I can actually put in the question for myself. It'll come back in 25 seconds with the answer, which would have taken me 5-10 minutes to think through. How would I answer this question? Mm-hmm. And so I can actually respond quicker. People can get to me and respond quicker, much quicker. And it sort of enhances my accessibility. I try to be accessible, and people can send me an email. They can, or try and set an appointment if there's a slot available. I have no airs and graces on that. Good ideas are everywhere, and good idea come from anybody, and they're fun people from everywhere. And one of the things to live a long life is be social. So
I love that attitude. Yes, be social.
Yeah, meet new people.
Yes.
The more friends you have, the longer you'll live.
I recall sitting in your AI class, and you had asked us about our experience with your avatar, talking to your avatar. And I remember you saying, Well, not too many people asked embarrassing questions, and it made me think about that. It's like, will he know if I asked him an embarrassing question?
Let's see. It depends on how you've logged in, is my understanding. Sometimes I know who the person is. Sometimes it's anonymous.
Okay.
Right.
That's good to know.
Yes.
Wink, wink. And how was the onboarding experience, like getting your avatar, your digital twin going?
Onboarding is very easy. You just simply upload any PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, YouTube links. So you don't even have to upload the videos themselves. You can just upload the links. And then in a very short time, they'll have it ready for you and you can start using it. And then usually at the beginning, you start using it yourself and introducing it to a smaller set of people just to see if it works well enough. And then
Audience.
Yes, test audience, and you might want to edit a few of the questions if you thought it didn't give you the right answer. And then it keeps getting better and better because the Supra team is obviously updating their technology and their science all the time. And so it gets better naturally. Then if you start using it and other people start using it, and the thumbs up and thumbs down where they like the answers and the questions, then it gets better and better the more you use it. It's used.
Are there any features in particular that you find useful? Anything specific, or that could be either useful or that could be improved?
Right, so I think there is a voice version, if you pay higher up in the subscription thing, where it'll actually speak with my voice back to the person. You can actually ask the question with voice, it will transcribe it and then send it to the system, and then it will respond in a voice as well as text. And I think that gives people a feeling that it's me. Of course, it's not me. I think people know it's actually not
You're
machine.
not talking to them.
Yes. And that's one of the things in AI that's amazing, even people in the field, is that how well these systems work. Language understanding historically was taking a prediction of one word based on the previous 2 words or the previous 3 words. These newer systems, new AI systems, not 2 or 3 words, it's thousands of words, windows of thousands of words. But even knowing that, it's using just math, statistics to figure out what it should say. It's amazing for even people in the field say it actually gives very good answers despite that. And maybe it's an indication that maybe we're doing statistics in our head. What I'm going to say next is just a statistical process.
Oh, yeah.
We think it's not, we think it's us. But maybe we are statistics.
Interesting. From everything that we've learned in our history.
Exactly.
Very
yes.
esoteric. I agree with that, though. If you can listen to, if I'm like listening to your voice coming from your digital twin / avatar, I have definitely more of a comfort feeling that it's actually your input that I'm communicating with, because everyone has kind of a vocal signature like on their own, right?
Well, I think if you get the voice, then they're more comfortable in actually continuing the conversation, continuing the question. If it's a pure text thing, it's kind of fun. It's still quite fun, but the voice actually adds a little bit of personality into the discourse,
Right.
Which wouldn't have happened from a pure text. I mean, we don't text. Well, we do text each other on phones and emails and things like that. But there's much more of a bonding effect when we're in person. That's the in-person effect. You get more bonding effect on a video call, and you get even more on a in-person meeting. People know that.
Yeah.
That's why we always say, let's meet in person if we can.
It kind of just adds that other dimension
It
to it.
accelerates learning, it accelerates thinking. You can do everything by text, email, and video will accelerate it, but the in-person gives even more acceleration to the learning and the discourse between several people.
Right. Interesting. Do you have any suggestions for improvement for this Supra AI app?
Yes, I think it's got to be, right now the platform is separated as personas and courses. You can actually, some people have actually developed course material. I think they should sort of separate those out. Maybe the courses are on a different site even. And I think it should be optimized to certain segments, like authors, classic segments. The more material you have, the better digital twin you're going to have. And so you just go to Amazon and send an email to every single author saying, would you like a digital twin? Right? There's millions of them.
Great idea. Yeah.
Right? Go to politicians. Maybe they're less likely to want to use it. I'm not sure. But
And maybe IMDb for film people, for movie stars.
Actors.
Yeah.
Actors. Generally that whole influencer category, people who want to interact with their audience but in scale. And it's clearly, I think that's going to be the easiest thing. Then there's certain other verticals, like this concept of AI assistants. So maybe you have an AI cooking assistant, an AI scientist assistant.
A running coach?
A running coach, yes. You have these coaches, and then those could be, but I think that the best thing is attach them to personalities, attach them to people instead of courses. So if you want to teach something on nuclear physics, let's find an excellent nuclear physicist, and people can ask different sort of build in the questions as opposed to doing course material. So I think that's, and then the third one is probably, I'd like to rebrand it so I have it, so people don't actually know it's Super Diet. It really is Super Diet, but they just think it's me.
Yes, right. I like that. Yeah.
They can say super at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, Ronjon, thank you so much for joining us today in this chat. I'm sure everyone out there loved hearing from you and your insights and your experience with Super AI. Is there any final thought that you'd like to add?
I think that people should just try it. It's so much fun. Just find some documents they've written. Sometimes it could be Zoom transcripts. You can just delete your personal ones, but start uploading things, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised, I think, to how much fun you can have with your own digital twin, your own avatar.
Brilliant. And so one final thing, are you up for a word challenge?
Whatever that means. Go ahead.
Okay. So right now my favorite words are stochastic and fungible. Okay. Can you put those two words in a sentence?
Oh, okay. Certainly. Well, what we need to do to create AI systems, you take material, you take documents that are related to each other, so-called fungible. And what the AI system does will create a stochastic, what we call probabilistic model of that data, of that knowledge, so it's actually useful to you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Ronjon.
Thank you.